Hi, welcome to Loft 801. My name is Diego, and today I'm talking about Americana. It is a neo-Western crime comedy and director Tony Tost's debut film. With leads like Sweeney, Walter Hauser, Halsey, Simon Rex, Zach McLarnin, and Eric Dane, the film blends offbeat humor, violence, and small-town Americana into one sprawling narrative. Quick heads up, this review may contain the occasional minor spoiler, but I'll do my best to avoid them. At its core, Americana is about the intersecting lives of outsiders drawn together by a mystical artifact. Penny Jo Poplin is a shy South Dakota waitress longing for Nashville stardom. She teams up with military veteran Lefty to steal a Lakota Ghost Shirt that's already been stolen by Dillon, who plans to sell it to shady antiquities dealer Roy Lee Dean. Dillon's girlfriend Mandy and her son have differing plans, and nothing goes as expected for all parties involved, ultimately culminating in a good old-fashioned Western standoff. I think most movies that try to weave in multiple narratives into each other don't typically do a good job. I don't think that's the case with Americana. I liked following Cal, Penny Jo, Mandy, Dillon, and everyone else. It created a mosaic of life in a small, rural Western town. Each POV lets us experience different social, cultural, and emotional realities. Mandy struggles with Dillon and his abuse. Cal has seen too many Westerns and believes he's the reincarnation of Lakota leader Sitting Bull. Penny Jo and Lefty are both dreamers and bond over that. Ghost Eye is a radical militant. Hiram and the Star family are cult-like and abusive. The layered narrative makes the small-town setting feel larger and lived in. However, one of the downsides of having so many POVs is that while each perspective is interesting, the film tries to give weight to nearly every character. It's ambitious and it slows down the momentum of the story. Part of the issue with the narrative shifts is that the tone also shifts. Sometimes it's a quirky comedy, other times it's a dark western or a revenge thriller or a crime caper. I like that the changes keep things unpredictable, but by nature they force the film to slow down and reestablish itself. I think the side effect is most noticeable in the climax. It's fun and cathartic, but it lingers, and the film had what I would consider to be 3 different endings rather than one tight finale. I've gone back and forth on if there was a better way to tighten all the narratives while still hitting all the themes, and I'm not sure. I like the commentary on cultural appropriation and how some people search for meaning even if it's false. It's funny and lighthearted, but the tragedy of delusion gives Cal's character depth with a rewarding payoff. I also like the theme of oppression. Mandy's family storyline is a revenge fantasy with some unrealistic moments, but in exchange it offers some feel-good moments. I liked how it spotlights patriarchal abuse and how if trauma is all you've ever known, you're likely to fall back into trauma because it's familiar. It explains why she's dating Dillon and keeping herself in a bad situation. Cast-wise, there are a lot of actors worthy of praise. I genuinely enjoyed Sweeney as Penny Jo. She completely sold the awkward, shy girl vibe. Her stutter made her vulnerable, insecure, and human. Walter Hauser was awesome. He was kind of like a romantic incel. He was a very lonely man trying to find meaning in love. He can be a bit off-putting, but also strangely sympathetic. His chemistry with Sydney's Penny Jo is both funny, sad, and cute. Halsey is arguably the breakout here. She delivers a lot of raw emotion as Mandy. She has grit, anger, and fear, and her journey from an oppressed woman to a fighter is satisfying. Also, one of my favorite scenes was when her father, who's been monstrous, stands up for her and protects her. She has a flicker of shock and relief, and that gives her character some additional emotional depth. Gavin Maddox Bergman as Cal is a fascinating mix of comedy and tragedy. While his belief that he is the reincarnation of Sitting Bull is absurd, the film treats him with enough seriousness that you feel his longing to belong. Gavin is funny without turning Cal into a joke. He's earnest, whether he's cringy or charming. I like that ultimately his arc forces him to confront reality, and Gavin's acting sells how deeply he believed his delusion. Zahn McLarnin is great as Ghost Eye. He's commanding and quiet, and his deadpan humor cuts through Cal's delusion. I would have loved to see more of his character. Eric Dane and Simon Rex both add menace to the film as Dillon and Roy Lee. I like that Eric feels dangerous, cold, and unflinching, while Simon provides some comedic relief to the danger. The supporting cast, from Mandy's oppressive family to the native actors who check Cal's delusion, flesh out the film's world. What makes them good is that they all feel authentic to the rural South Dakota and Wyoming setting. No one seems out of place. Even small roles like townsfolk, family members, or side criminals help give the movie its lived-in texture. I know I've mentioned this already, but I love how the cinematography captured the small town and homestead. I love the safe feeling of the diner. I love the prison feel of the homestead compound. I love the sun-washed exteriors and darker, grainier lighting for violent scenes. There wasn't anything too crazy about the cinematography, and I think that's okay. It allowed the characters to shine. David Fleming composed the score, and I enjoyed how it blended traditional Western motifs with darker atmospheric tones. It helps sustain tension, especially during the slower stretches of the movie. I think the use of silence and ambience also help add to the mood. Whether it's the creak of wood floors or wind over the plains, it pulls you into the rural atmosphere. The music reinforced the Americana vibe. Americana is a messy but rewarding debut that embraces its quirks and wears its influences proudly. The multiple narratives, shifting tones, and sprawling cast sometimes weigh the film down, but they also give it a unique texture that feels authentic to small-town life and big mythic Western storytelling. The strong ensemble performances, especially Halsey's grit, Sweeney's vulnerable dreamer, and Hauser's sympathetic loner and Bergman's tragic Cal, keep the film engaging even when the pacing falters. Visually, it captures the beauty and bleakness of rural America, and the score reinforces that grounded, lived-in tone. For me, Americana succeeds because it's ambitious and heartfelt, even if it occasionally stumbles. It's a film that lingers for both its humor and payoff, and while not perfect, it's one I'm glad I watched. So I can confidently recommend this movie. Thank you for listening to my review of Americana. If you enjoyed the content, leave a like and hit subscribe. If you did not enjoy the content, thank you for sticking around. As always, I would love to read what you have to say, so leave a comment and let me know what you're thinking. Also, if there's something you want to see reviewed, don't forget to let me know and I will do my best to get to it. Lastly, if you want to see some more from me, then you can check out my vlogs linked up above or my podcast Good Friends. Again, thank you for watching. My name is Diego and I will see you next time.